There are two types of stress that I'm going to talk about in this video: primary stress and secondary stress. Primary stress is the stress we experience from the actual stressful events that are going on in our lives. Being swamped at work, or trying to juggle work-life balance, or having issues in our personal life. These can all be really stressful, but there are steps we can take to help manage our primary stress because it involves things that are actually happening right now. Now, secondary stress is the stress that we add on top of everything else as a result of how we react to our primary stress, and in particular, the thoughts we have about our stress. When we're feeling stressed, we tend to worry a lot, and we ask ourselves all sorts of what ifs. What if I can't deal with this? What if I don't get it done on time? What if I do a bad job? What if I let people down? And once we start going down this path, there's no end to the what ifs. And they lead us to all sorts of catastrophic predictions. I'm going to lose my job over this, and then I won't be able to pay rent or afford my mortgage, and I won't be able to support myself or my family, and we're all going to end up homeless and living on the streets. Or, I can't deal with this. It's too much. I'm going to make myself sick with all of this stress. And then what am I going to do? And these thoughts aren't helpful to us at all. They only end up making us more stressed, and our stress more difficult to manage. Now, because our primary stress involves things that are actually going on in our lives right now, there are things we can do to address it. And the most important thing is to recognize as soon as possible when we're first starting to feel stressed, because that's when we have the most chance to be able to do something about it. And anything we can do to keep our stress at a more manageable level and prevent things from escalating is going to be more effective than trying to deal with our stress once it's already overwhelming. And often the first sign that we're starting to feel stressed is something physical. Our stomach starts churning, or there's a tightness in our chest or throat, or there's some tension in our neck or shoulders, or maybe we start to get a headache. And so by learning to notice when and where in our body we're first starting to feel stressed, we have the opportunity to do something about our stress before it's too late. And responding to our stress sooner rather than later is probably the single most important thing we can do to make our stress more manageable. Otherwise, we can end up in a straw that broke the camel's back situation, where whatever is happening right now may not be too stressful to bear on its own, but combined with the accumulation of all of the other stress that's been building up, we just can't take it anymore, and we get overwhelmed. Whereas if we'd found a way to unload some of that straw along the way, then this last straw of stress alone wouldn't be enough to break our backs. And so the first step in managing stress is to notice as soon as you can and acknowledge to yourself that you're starting to feel stressed. And the next step is to do something about your stress before it starts to feel out of control. Often the natural inclination when we're feeling stressed is to try to keep going and going and going until we get everything done. But not only does this increase our level of stress exponentially, it also makes us far less efficient. And we're much better off both in terms of stress and efficiency if we take frequent breaks and make sure we don't work through our lunches and coffee breaks and just give ourselves a chance to unwind a bit and let some of our stress go throughout the day. And related to this is to just do one thing at a time. When we're feeling stressed, it's tempting to want to multitask and try to get everything done at once. But again, this only increases our level of stress and makes us less efficient. And if you have lots of stressful things going on in your life, try to only focus on the one that's in front of you right now. So if you're stressed at work, don't allow your mind to use this as an invitation to start thinking about all the stress you have in other areas of your life, because there's nothing we can do about that other stress right now, except worry about it and create all sorts of secondary stress for ourselves on top of whatever primary stress we're already experiencing, and making that primary stress even more difficult to manage. And it's important to find ways to frame our days with something relaxing. So starting off the day with a routine that allows us to ease into our days, rather than just going and going and going from the moment we wake up. And then at the end of the day, finding a way to relax and unwind. And framing our days like this with something relaxing increases our resiliency and our ability to deal with stress throughout the day, and prevents our stress from from carrying over from one day into the next. And then, when we do start to feel stressed, take a moment to ask ourselves whether this is primary stress or secondary stress. And if it's primary stress, since it's something tangible that's actually going on right now, figure out what we can do to start reducing our stress. And spend some time problem solving and strategizing and come up with a plan to help us start tackling whatever it is that's causing us stress. And the stop exercise that I describe in another video is a great way to do this. But if it's secondary stress that we're experiencing, then there's nothing actionable we can do about it, because our secondary stress involves worrying about things that haven't happened yet. And since they only exist in the future, there's nothing we can do about them now, except worry about them or learn to let go of them so that we don't add this secondary level of stress on top of whatever primary stress we're already experiencing. But not worrying can be a lot easier said than done, so you might want to check out my videos on how to worry less. And here's the stop exercise I mentioned earlier, and you'll find links to both of these videos in the pinned comment. So please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if there are any other topics you'd like me to cover. And you can check out my online mindfulness-based stress reduction course, where these videos come from for free, from the link in the description.